I've already made about 2 videos concerning Resident Evil 9 and when it might possibly be coming out. Um, the last video I made was either 10 or 11 months ago, and, um, and I believe that was back in 2013. There's been a lot of speculation on Resident Evil 9, its release date, and how is Capcom gonna be able to top Resident Evil 7 Biohazard in terms of like overall quality and success. And for the most part, you look at the Resident Evil series, um, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard is considered to be the thing that kind of revived people's interest within the series to some extent. Because when it comes to Resident Evil, a lot of people are interested in in the more the older installments, like the remakes that we got, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4 from last year. People are interested in like the old stuff from like the 90s and the 2000s and all that stuff. And at this point, I don't think we're going to get a remake of any kind for Resident Evil 5 because that game in of itself is way too controversial. And there's just been a lot of like racial overtones and stuff like that. And for Capcom to even make that work, they would probably have to rewrite, the script altogether. And I feel like that's something that would hurt the original version of the game. So I think it's one of those deals where Capcom would be better off just leaving that alone. But as far as Resident Evil 9 is concerned, um, it was confirmed to be in development, I believe, not too long ago, within the past 24 hours. And the director's supposed to be, I believe his name is Koshi Nashi, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's supposed to be working on Resident Evil 9. We have no idea when the game is going to be released, and there's been expectations on possibly seeing a reveal trailer before the end of 2024. But don't take my word for that. It's just that it's something that I'm pretty sure, like, Capcom has been working on this for quite some time because Resident Evil Village came out back in 2021. So I'm pretty sure, Resident Evil 9, um, it's definitely in development. I'm pretty sure early development started sooner than that because honestly, like the Resident Evil series is still hot, and I know Capcom had been working on Street Fighter 6, prior to 2023, and maybe development for Resident Evil 9 kind of took a backseat to that. But yeah, like as far as 2025 is concerned, Capcom doesn't have really like too many high profile games supposed to be coming out other than Monster Hunter Wilds. At least 2025 is the expected release date for the next major Monster Hunter game. But the question is, like, will Resident Evil 9 be able to surpass the likes of Biohazard, which did like 13 mil in sales, or even like Resident Evil Village, which did 9.8 mil in sales? Because like the Resident Evil series is definitely Capcom's most popular video game series. It's definitely one of their most popular IPs. It's been around like since the 90s. I feel like its popularity has only gotten higher over time. And I don't know. For the most part, it seemed like the teens decade was kind of a slog for the Resident Evil series in general, and Biohazard kind of revived that. And I feel like Capcom could definitely keep the momentum going with Resident Evil 9. And I believe, like in the article that I read, the director said that the hardest thing about the development of Resident Evil 9 was coming up with a story or coming up with like something that would work where people would be like interested into the game and all that, because Resident Evil Village is something that a lot of people really don't talk too much about, even though it was a massive commercial success. Because I remember watching there was like a Resident Evil live stream back in, I believe it was in 2023, um right before Resident Evil 4 remake was being like showcased, and we saw like the trailer for that. That's all people were talking about. Nobody really cared about anything else from that stream other than the Resident Evil 4 remake. And honestly, I feel like that kind of says a lot about the series in general. Now, don't get me wrong; like the series is more profitable than ever now because Capcom is still cashing in on remaking older games and all that stuff. But I honestly feel like the buck is going to stop with Resident Evil 4 unless they decide to move on to Resident Evil 0 or Resident Evil like Code Veronica, because there's been no mention of Capcom possibly remaking those two games at all. In fact, I would probably do Resident Evil 0 and Code Veronica before I attempt to do a Resident Evil 5 remake, just to be on the safe side, because Capcom doesn't really need any bad PR. We've seen what bad PR has done to video game companies within the past couple of years or so. And I feel like Resident Evil 9 is a game that we'll probably see probably sometime between 2025, 2026. That's just my guess. But yeah, just to let you all know, development has been confirmed by Capcom, and a lot of people are having high hopes for the upcoming Resident Evil game, myself included.